Hello, welcome to Motors for the Masses, and what is my final thoughts on this Voge 300 Rally, which I've now had for the past month. Done various journeys on it, just taking it here and there and out and about. You've seen obviously my review on it. You've seen when I took Patrick out and a little bit of luggage and our views on that. So now, after I've ridden it for a while, I'm going to do a bit of a summary, and I'm going to break it down into categories. So we're going to have comfort, performance, looks, affordability, and overall thoughts. So first off, comfort. Well, as a rider, I found it extremely comfortable. I'm going to get covered in insects here because I'm sitting in an insect fest. I've got a log. Ow, something's just bitten me. Bloody ant. Really? An ant bit me? A black ant bit me. Interesting. Okay. Where did he come from anyway? Did he really crawl up me that quickly? Might have to move. Anyway, I digress. The amount of people that slow down and stare at you to go, what are they doing? Is it someone famous? Oh, no, it's not. Well, as a rider, I find it extremely comfortable. The seating position is great. I've got no problems with the height of the seat, even though it's 920 millimeters. Shorter legged people might have a problem getting on and off it, but it does sink in the suspension quite well. So once you're on it, I am flat-footed with a slight bend in my knee. I didn't really get any buzz from anything. I don't get much buzz from the seat. I get a tiny, and I mean a tiny bit of buzz when I'm doing 70 miles an hour. But other than that, not really a problem at all. I don't get any buzz through the... Ow, something bit me again. Seriously. Welcome to the Norfolk countryside. It's angry. Anyway, I get a tiny bit of buzz from the handlebars. Again, tiny, and that's only at 70 miles an hour. Under 70, I don't get anything at all. So if you're going around the country roads, you don't get any buzz or any problems whatsoever through the seat, through the foot pegs, or through the handlebars. So comfort-wise, it's very comfortable. As you know from the previous video, the seat does get a bit thin on the back. So if you've got a passenger, it's not very comfortable for them. And bearing in mind that was Patrick, who is 8 and a small child. So it's not really comfortable for anyone heavier than a 6-year-old, I guess. But yeah, it's not very comfortable as a passenger. But then it's not really a passenger vehicle, is it? It's not really a 2-up vehicle, I wouldn't say. I don't think you'd buy this if you're looking to go 2-up. I may be wrong, you know, it's up to you, but just my opinion, I don't think it's a 2-up kind of bike. It's not something you'd buy if you are looking to take 2 people quite often. It'll do for a short journey, but not brilliant for a long journey. But as a rider or a single person, absolutely brilliant. I don't mean single as in you're not married or don't have a significant other. I mean as in you're out on your own on the bike. So yeah, comfort wise, the handlebars are a great distance apart. They're great distance from your body. It feels very comfortable. I don't have any issues at all with the comfort. I'm really pleased with the suspension. I like the way it takes you over the bumps effortlessly. It works fantastically on and off-road. Really pleased with the comfort on and off-road of that. So category 2, performance. Well, as you know, it's a 300cc or just under bike. And with that in mind, that means it's not really designed to do mega speeds. 300 cc's are, seriously, why am I getting insects attack me? Animals love me. Perhaps animals love me, insects don't. Anyway, probably because I'm a bit sweaty as well, having been riding around, so I'm probably being, oh, dragonflies, loads of them! Wow! I digress. Wow, so many dragonflies. That is awesome. Anyway, performance. As you know, 125s are glorified 300cc bikes. If you don't want a 125 because you think it's going to struggle, which it would in modern society because they're all a bit slow, 300cc bikes are ideal because you've got a lot of lightweight bikes. The performance is enough so you can do 70, 80 miles an hour. With the sports or street bikes, you can usually do about 90 top end, which is perfectly adequate for modern day roads. So a 300cc is a great cc to have, I believe. Again, for off-roading, perfect because they're light, nimble, easy to use. I really do like the idea of a 300cc bike for that kind of riding. So performance wise, you've got to judge it on it being that style bike. And what I mean by that is it's not going to do mega speeds and it's not going to do mega acceleration, but you wouldn't expect that. And if you are going to expect that, then buy a 500 or a 650 or something like that. So as a 300, it works really nicely. It gets you up to 60 mile an hour effortlessly, gets you up to 70 effortlessly, not much beyond 70. But again, because of the style of bike it is, you don't really want to be doing that kind of speeds. So I don't really think that's going to be much of an issue at all. So as far as performance is concerned, it is exactly what it should be. It gets you up to 70 without a problem. It'll hold you there without a problem. Even 2 up, it'll do 70 miles an hour with a bit of luggage on it. And it didn't seem to struggle or feel as though it was right at its limit. So yeah, it's fine for what it is. Absolutely. No problem at all with the performance. So category 3, looks. And in that, I also want to clump in build quality as well and what I feel about that. Looks wise, I think they've got it absolutely spot on. I think it's a great looking bike. It's got that sort of enduro Dakar style going about it. It's got the right look, the tank, the front fairings, the screen, everything seems really nicely laid out. I like the handguards as well. They're really very effective as well, and they are built very nicely. They're not flimsy, cheap, plasticky things that wobble about. Nothing feels flimsy and nothing rattles on it at all. So I would say nothing feels cheap. Now, you've got to bear in mind as well, it's an enduro style bike. So they are usually built with quite a lot of plastic on them. Usually with that, quite often you get cheap plastic, flimsy plastic, and it doesn't feel cheap and flimsy. It feels pretty thick and well-made plastic. The colours are decent. The stickers seem pretty decent as well. They don't look like they're going to peel off very easily, as much as stickers do. Okay, they're over the top of the plastics. They're not lacquered in or anything like that, but it is sort of a matte plastic white finish with a pearl effect, I would say. Actually, it's got a sort of a pearl white effect on this one. So nothing feels cheap and nasty and sort of on a budget, shall we say. And bearing in mind, it is a budget bike as well. I mean, even the rear hanger, okay, it rattles about a little bit, but it's because it's a small plastic hanger. You can't have something massive on here because it just wouldn't work with the style of bike it is. I mean, there is a mixture of LED and normality. That's nearly a word. There is a mixture of LED and normality in the terms that you've got LED indicators, LED rear light, but a main light as normal halogen bulbs. Now, unfortunately, because it gets dark at the moment around 10 o'clock and my wife works nights and I've got my little boy, 10 o'clock's a bit late to go out and test the lights at night. So I apologise for that. I haven't had the opportunity to do that. If I get the chance before the bike goes back, I will do, and I'll do that in a separate video just so you can see what it's like at night, because I know people have asked about that. If not, If someone else has a link for someone that has done that, then please, by all means, stick it in the comment section below. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. The foot pegs, again, I like the looks of those. I like the feel of those. They are very good quality. The rear ones, as Patrick did say, they are quite small. So for a passenger, again, a bike, this is not as designed for a passenger. That's clear. They have made it as though a passenger can go on it, but it's not designed for a passenger. So as far as that's concerned, the rear foot pegs are small and the seat is small and not, I mean, it is padded, but it's not brilliantly padded. So for a small person, okay. Anything bigger than an 8-year-old, probably not, unless they've got a lot of cushioning. That's not for me to say. Then you've got a lot of overhang. Anyway, moving on. The mirrors, great visibility out of the mirrors, and they are generic. They look like a lot of mirrors that are on a lot of bikes. There's nothing special about them, but they work. They do the job quite nicely. I like the wheels on them. They do look like stainless. I haven't tested them yet because I don't have a magnet. But they are very good quality. Bear in mind, I've been in water, I've been in mud, and I've got no rust spots on these whatsoever. So I don't think they are. Well, they might be. They might be stainless. Let me know in the comment section below if you know. I will research that, and I'll probably put a little thing on the bottom there as to whether they are stainless or not. Other than that, I say I like the design of the wheels. The tyres seem to do a decent job. Timsung tyres, they do what they're supposed to do. You don't need ridiculously expensive tyres if it's going to do what it's supposed to do. I haven't tested it in the wet on the road, as in a downpour. So I don't know how good these tyres are in the wet. I mean, let's be honest, they are pretty much more off-road than they are on-road tyres. But I've seen Timsung tyres like this on other bikes without an issue. So, I mean, let's be honest, they're not going to be as good as a road tyre. We all know that. You're under no illusion that they are. But, you know, they seem to be pretty decent so far. Off-road in the mud, I didn't get any slippage or any wheel spin or any problems like that. Absolutely no worries whatsoever as far as that's concerned. The chain's nice and chunky. The layout of the pegs is decent. I like the crash bars. The welds seem okay. Again, they're not the best quality welds I've seen, but they're okay. Maybe it's like someone like me welded them. The layout of the screen and the dash, as I say, is pretty decent. The handlebars are nice and chunky. You've got fat bars in the middle and then teeter out to the usual 22mm. The switch gears are generic, but they work. They don't feel flimsy. Nothing feels as though it's going to snap off or break. So yeah, as far as the looks and quality is concerned, again, I've got no issue, apart from one thing. And I think you know what I'm going to say. Mild steel exhaust. It's just not necessary. I mean, why can't you put a stainless steel exhaust on it? I mean, I would happily pay another £100 for the bike. It would still be under £4 and you'd have a stainless steel exhaust. I mean, I don't understand why manufacturers are putting mild steel exhausts on still. Because they rust too easily, especially on an enduro bike that's designed to go on and off-road in mud and water. Stick a stainless steel exhaust on it. Please, it's just, you know, that really does bug me, to be honest. A lot of manufacturers are cheaping out in terms of the exhaust, and I don't get it. I suppose you could argue that if you come off it, it's cheaper to replace a mild steel exhaust than it is a stainless steel exhaust. But again, you've really got to do some serious damage if you're going to really completely trash that exhaust. So just stick a stainless steel one on it. Oh, come on. Anyway, on to number 4. And number 4 is affordability. This seems to be pretty good in terms of fuel. Now the MPG figure that I quoted before in the 80s is actually seems pretty accurate because it's lasting quite well. I'm really pleased with how the fuel efficiency is. You get 11 litre fuel tank, as I say, which is pretty decent on an enduro bike. That's not bad at all. I've got no issues with the affordability side. I would hope by now that most insurance companies know who Voge are, so you have no problem getting insurance for it. Now, the only thing that lets it down in terms of servicing as opposed to something like the Honda CRF, you are servicing it more than twice as often. However, you're not taking it to a Honda dealer, so the servicing cost is probably going to be about the same as you would if it was then, but more often. So work out about the same, I would say, servicing wise. Again, I mean, in terms of servicing, we are talking a 2-year warranty on this, parts and labour warranty. Servicing, I believe, is if it's using the MotoGB usual service package, then you've got the first one at 500 kilometres, which is 300 miles, pretty early. And then after that, it is every 2,000, unless they follow the Royal Alloy line, and then the first one's at 600 and not 300 miles. Even so, it's not very often that it needs servicing, and a first service, if you buy it from a MotoGB dealer, quite often they do the first one a bit cheaper for you. Not everyone, but sometimes some dealers do. I know I did. Servicing, again, is down to the individual dealer. I would say a service is around about 200 to 250 quid for a bike like this. Probably a lot cheaper actually in some places, maybe around 150 to 180 pound for a service. There isn't a huge amount to service on these, let's be honest. Certainly nothing more than any other enduro bike. You've got your brakes, your oil change, your brake fluid. Again, they're not going to be all the time either, so servicing wise I don't think is going to be that much, but you are going to have to service it more often. I'm sure that will get better. I mean, servicing over the past 10 years with Chinese bikes have got better. However, quality has got a hell of a lot better than what it used to be. And we all know that that's true. There are certain things that still have issues, but in general, quality of these Chinese bikes are so much better than they used to be 10 years ago. That is definite. Obviously, there's still a stigma attached to Chinese bikes, and a lot of it comes down to how they are, or indeed are not, looked after. I mean, I know that for a fact because a lot of bikes, the amount of bikes that came into us, phenomenal, that had no oil in, they'd missed so many services because the bike was just too cheap and they couldn't be bothered or couldn't afford to get it serviced, which a lot of people with the likes of Hondas and stuff like that don't necessarily do because they spend a lot more on the bike, so they tend to look after it more and spend the money on it. However, the amount of Yamaha YZFs that came in with absolutely knackered engines, completely trashed, not running, was phenomenal, and people love those and spend a fortune on them. But we had so many Yamaha YZFs that came in that were absolutely trashed, and Honda CBFs. Oh, and even Honda CBRs, not so many, but Honda CBFs, Yamaha YZF 125s, the amount that came in trashed, knackered, dead, broken engines was phenomenal. So again, it's down to who the bike is owned by and how they look after it. So overall quality of the bike, the swing arm looks nice and sturdy, it feels nice and sturdy. Again, the plastic guard is on the chain, is a bit flimsy, but it's a plastic guard on a chain, you know. I mean, the same on my KTM, which didn't even have one because that was mostly an off-road bike, but the ones you see on them, again, they're just a plastic guard because it's lightweight. Everything else seems sturdy. This rack is okay, you know, it's a small rack, the welds are all right, they're bolted in okay, the bolts are decent enough, you know, again, there's no real issues. The brake system seems pretty decent, the ABS is switchable, which is certainly a good thing if you're taking it off-road a lot. Again, I've got nothing really to complain about other than the exhaust, but you know that already. So is it affordable? Well, at just under £4,000 or £100 under £4,000, £4,000 I would be happy to pay if they put a stainless steel exhaust on it, just saying. It's so much cheaper than the likes of the Honda CRF 300. It's half the price of a Kawasaki KLX, half the price of a KTM. Yes, I know you're getting KTM, but it's half the price of those. You know, for the money, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And on to the final category of overallness. What do I think of the bike overall? I love it. You know, I didn't think I would, but I do. It's fun to ride, it's comfortable enough, it gets up to speed decently enough for what you want it for a bit of country laning, to and from work, a bit of green laning if you want to do it. It's absolutely brilliant at not an expensive price. And I've got no issues with this bike at all, again, except for the exhaust. Perhaps if I was to change the tyres, again, I wouldn't do it straight away. If I was to change the tyres, I might go for a branded one, but I would have to wait and see what these are like in the wet on the road first. If they weren't brilliant, I'd maybe go for maybe the Pirelli Scorpions that they have on the Moto Morini Escapes, things like that. Other than that, for the price, it's a phenomenal bike. And I really do. Longevity wise, we're yet to see on the reliability, but because that engine is built by Lonsin in connection with BMW, possibly based on the Kawasaki engine, I don't see much of an issue. But again, we're yet to see. Engines have never really been a problem as far as Chinese bikes are concerned, as long as they're looked after and serviced well. The main problem has been with electrics, and electrics are 10 times better than they used to be. So, yeah, as long as people can get over that silly stigma, oh, it's a Chinese bike, you'd never get me buying a Chinese bike, then I don't think you'll have any issues. Look after it, and it'll look after you. What a corny line. There you go. That's a good way to end. So, thank you very much for joining me. I'll be back very soon with something else. Until then, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye-bye.